Welcome, my dear students. Today we have a new module entitled Endurance. So let's start with lesson 1A. Look at this picture, and here you can see some activities that require much endurance. So what does the word endurance mean? Endurance means the ability to continue doing something difficult or painful over a long period of time. So look at these activities. Also here, the rule of three. What is the rule of three? In extreme conditions, you cannot survive for more than 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours without shelter, and 3 days without water, 3 days without food. So the word shelter means a place to live, which is considered as one of the basic needs of life. So here let's discuss these questions together. How important is it to prepare for trips in the wild? I think it's very important to prepare for trips in the wild because they can be very dangerous. Question number 2. What are the most important things to have with you? I think the most important things that we have might be water, food supplies, suitable clothes, and the first aid kit. Number 3. Do you think you would be good at surviving in the wild? No, I don't think I would be good at surviving in the wild because I'm not very adventurous one. So here, this is the rule of 3. So here you can see some activities that requires much endurance. But what these activities? Look at this picture again and you can understand that these activities require much endurance. So here in this first picture you can see a hairy spider which is called a tarantula. In this picture we can see someone here, he is holding a tarantula. In this picture also, in this second picture, you can see here someone who is trying to jump of high place, which we call it, or this activity, bungee jump. So here it requires much endurance. In this picture, you can see here some people who are running. Therefore, this activity requires much endurance, which we call run a marathon. In this picture, someone who is diving underwater. So this activity requires much endurance because this person can hold his breath underwater for 1 minute. And in this picture here, someone who goes without food for 24 hours. So these all activities requires much endurance, which we say that the ability to continue doing difficult things for over a long period of time. So here, after seeing these activities, can you do any of these things shown in this picture? Try to answer this question for yourself. Can you do any of these things or these activities that's shown in the picture? For me, the only activity I think I can do is climb up a rope. The rest require a lot of endurance. Okay. So question number 2 here, which do you think is the hardest? Which of these activities you see it's very hard? It is the hardest one. For my opinion, I think the hardest one is to do a bungee jump. That's great. You have to decide for yourself. Are you good at endurance activities? For me, no, I'm not because I'm not very sporty, so I don't believe that I'm in good shape. And here we have 3 clippings that are taken from newspaper. Each one deals or tells us about the experience of a survivor. So let's here know someone, hikers, crawls through desert with the broken leg for 4 days. And the number 2, man survives 2 months in snow-covered car. And number 3, tsunami survivor found out at sea. So here let's start with the first one and the lesson, then know the meaning of new vocab.
Module 2, Endurance. 2A, Reading. A.
Hiker crawls through desert with broken leg for 4 days. Amos Richards, 64, was rescued on Monday after spending 4 days crawling through the Utah desert with a broken leg. Richards was camping in Canyonlands National Park and went for a day hike in Little Blue John Canyon, an area that is about a 5-hour drive from the national park. While he was climbing, he fell and broke his leg in several places. With no one around to help him and no one knowing his location, he was forced to drag his body through the desert. He had no warm clothing for the cold nights nor a map, and only 10 pints of water and 2 power bars. Richards tried to follow his footprints back to his car and managed to cover 5 miles before he was found. Luckily, the National Park Rangers sent out search parties when they discovered his abandoned campsite. A helicopter took him to Moab Regional Hospital, where he's expected to recover very soon.
After listening to this paragraph, or after you read it, so let's know the meaning of some of the new words mentioned in this paragraph. But you have to know that this is the experience of hikers who crawls through desert with broken leg for 4 days. I think this activity requires much endurance. So let's start with the first word. Amos Richard, who is 64 years old, was rescued, was saved. So this word means saved. So here, another word, here we have crawling. It means to move on one's hand and knee. Also here, drag. Drag means to pull something difficult along the ground. Rangers. Somebody whose job is to take care of a park, especially one which is protected. Recover. To bring back to normal position or condition. So here, how many days did Richards spend crawling? How many days did Richards spend crawling? You can come back to the paragraph which you can find on page 18 and try to answer these questions. My answer here is he spent crawling for 4 days through the Utah desert. Question number 2. Where did Richards camp? Where did Amos Richard camp? He camped in Canyonlands National Park. Number 3. What happened while he was climbing? He fell and broke his leg in several places. So here, this is the second one. A man survives 2 months in a snow-covered car. I think this also requires much endurance. So let's listen to this part and then know the meaning of new words.
B. Man survives 2 months in snow-covered car. Doctors treating a Swedish man who survived 2 months in a snow-covered car say he is awake and able to communicate. But they are stunned he is alive at all. Peter Skilberg, 44, was found by passers-by near the northeastern town of Umeå. They thought his vehicle was an abandoned crashed car and dug down through about 3 feet of snow. To their surprise, they found Skilberg lying on the back seat. He could barely move or speak. His car had broken down on the 19th of December, and during the time he was trapped, temperatures dropped to minus 30 degrees Celsius. He only ate snow and kept inside his warm clothes and sleeping bag. Doctors believe the only reason Skilberg survived against all odds was because his car formed a natural igloo. This kept his body temperature high enough to survive.
So here, after reading this paragraph, we know that a man, with the Swedish one, survived 2 months in a snow-covered car. So let's know the meaning of some of the new words. Stunned means too surprised or shocked to speak. Passerby, someone who is walking past a place by chance. Abandoned, which is having been deserted or left. Also here, odds mean the probability or circumstances. Also here, igloo, this word igloo, which is the type of dome-shaped shelter built from blocks of slide snow. So here, this is our I think. So here we have some questions here. This is Igloo, you can see here. So the first question, do you think it's hard to stay for 2 months in a snow-covered car? I think it's very, very hard because nobody can bear this weather inside a cramped place such as a car. When did his car break down? His car broke down on the 19th December. Why did doctor surprised to see him alive? Because he has stayed in a snow-covered car for 2 months. So here, this is paragraph number 3, which deals with tsunami survivor who are found out at sea. So let's listen, and I hope that you listen it and read it.
C.
Tsunami survivor found out at sea. It has been over a week since the catastrophic tsunami in the Indian Ocean, but rescue teams are still finding survivors. An Indonesian man, Rizal Shaputra, 23, was found yesterday floating on a tree branch 100 miles off the coast. When the tsunami struck on the 26th of December, he was working on a building site in Banda Aceh, on the northern tip of Sumatra. He was swept out to sea along with several others, but, one by one, they drowned. Rizal survived by eating floating coconuts and drinking rainwater. At least one ship passed by, but didn't notice Rizal, who was waving frantically. Eventually, a Japanese ship spotted him and took him to Port Klang in Malaysia.
So here, after reading or listening to this paragraph about the one who was survived or found out at the sea in the tsunami, let's know the meaning of some of new words. Catastrophic means terrible. Struck, to hit something or somebody hard. Drown, to die from being underwater for too long or to kill someone in this way. Spot someone or something, to notice somebody or something, especially when it's not easy to do this. So here we have some questions. This is, as you can see, this is tsunami. Here, this question, how did Rizal survive? He survived by eating floating coconuts and drinking rainwater. How did he go to Malaysia? Think here. He was spotted by a Japanese ship and took him to Malaysia. Spotted means noticed or seen by someone or something. So here, in this picture, you can find some words which seem to be very, very confusing words. So let's know the difference between each one. Number 1, harm, which means to have a bad effect on somebody or something. Hurt means to cause physical pain to yourself or somebody, or to injure yourself or somebody. Injure means to harm yourself or somebody physically, especially in an accident. Group number 2, damage, means to cause physical harm to something. Destroy, which means to damage something so badly that no longer exists or work. Ruin, to damage something in such a way that still exists but has lost all its values. Group number 3, carry, pull and drag. Carry means to support the weight of somebody, something as you take them or it somewhere in your hands. Pull, hold something firmly and make it move towards you. Drag means to hold something firmly and make it move towards you. So now let's answer these questions together to make sure that we understand the difference between all these words. Complete the sentences with the correct form of the words in the boxes. In some cases, there may be more than one answer. Number 1, I was skiing all day and now my knees hurt. Pollution can space our health. Pollution can harm. Only 2 people were seriously spaced in the accident, so it's injured or hurt. Number 4, the bad weather space our plans to go on a picnic in the countryside. Right. Several buildings were completely spaced by the fire, were destroyed. Don't pull that hot pot on the table. You will space the service. You will damage or ruin the service. We couldn't left the bookcase, so we spaced it to the other side of the room. Pulled or dragged. A complete stranger helped me space the shopping bags to my car. Number 9. The scuba diver spaced the rope to show that he wanted to go back up to the surface. Bold. Thank you so much.